So here we are in week 8, the last week of lectures. We'll start off with chapter 14. Chapter 14 is leadership. Okay, in this chapter, we'll explain what leadership is, who leaders are, and what effective leaders do, Fiedler's contingency theory, how path goal theory works, normative decision theory, how visionary, that is charismatic or transformational leadership helps leaders achieve strategic leadership. And we have leaders versus managers. Leaders focus on vision, mission, goals, objectives, while managers focus on productivity and efficiency. Leaders encourage creativity and risk taking. Managers preserve the status quo. Leaders have a long-term perspective. Managers have a short-term perspective. Leaders concerned with the ends, and managers are concerned with the means. Okay. Leadership traits. Effective leaders possess a similar set of traits or characteristics. Traits are relatively stable characteristics such as abilities, psychological motives, or consistent patterns of behavior. Leaders' traits theory continued. Leaders differ from non-leaders based on the following traits: drive, desire to lead, honesty, integrity, self-confidence, emotional stability, cognitive ability, and knowledge of the business. Knowledge of what you're leading, in fact. Initiating structure, degree to which leader structures the roles of his or her followers by setting goals, giving directions, setting deadlines, assigning tasks. A leader's ability to initiate structure affects subordinates' job performance. So if you have someone that just says, okay, you know how to do it, so go do it now, and that's it, well, if the person doesn't know how to do it or what to do, then it's not going to have a very good performance. Whereas if someone gives specific goals that are measurable, shows how to actually accomplish the goal by giving direction, and then gives deadlines. Nothing ever gets done if it's not a deadline. And then assigns tasks so that you're not competing or you're not doing the same task with somebody else. Consideration, extent to which leader is friendly, approachable, supportive, and shows concerns for employees. If you're not approachable, if people don't think they can come talk to you, if people don't think they can tell you the truth, then you are not an effective leader. So here's different types. You have the country club manager, and they just pay attention to the needs of the people for satisfying relationships, comfortable, friendly, organizational atmosphere, and work tempo. And then here you have the team management. Work accomplished is from committed people, uh, interdependence through a common stake in organizational purpose leads to relationship of trust and respect. Middle of the road manager. Adequate organization performance is possible through balancing the needs to get work done and maintain morale of people at a satisfactory level. Then you have impoverished management. And this is the exertion of minimum effort to get required work done is approved to sustain organization membership. And then the authority compliance, efficiency and operation results from arranging conditions of work in such a way that human elements interfere to a minimum degree. Okay? So concern for production, in other words, this person thinks people are just cogs in a wheel. Doesn't matter if you do it or somebody else does it, it just needs to get done, and here's the way to do it, and that's the way it is. Okay? So you have very high concern for production, and over here, low concern for production. On this side, low concern for people. Here's a high concern for people. Okay, so obviously this one has high concern for people and a high concern for production. Okay. Next model is matching leadership style to the situation. Task oriented versus relationship oriented. It all depends. You go through this step by step and see which one's best for the given situation. Okay. Percy Blanchard's situational theory states that the leader needs to adjust their leadership style to match followers' readiness, ability, and willingness to take responsibility directing one's behavior at work. Okay. So components of readiness: job readiness is psychological readiness combined to produce 4 different levels of readiness. R1 represents insecure people who are neither willing nor able to take responsibility for guiding their own work. These are brand new people, or the job is brand new. If you just redid everything and now you went from paper to computers, it doesn't matter if the person's been around for a week or 20 years, they're going to be in the R1 because they don't know what to do, because you just changed the entire work environment and they don't know how to do their job anymore. R2 represents people who are confident and willing but not able to take responsibility for writing their work. Okay, so these people, they just went through the training, so now they're confident. They went through all the computer training and they're ready to get back to work and do the new job, or do the same job they had before but differently on a computer instead of paper. But they really don't know how to do it yet because they just went through training. So they still need a lot of managing, supervising, coaching, and training on the job after they just finished the classroom training. R3 represents people who are insecure and are able but not willing to take responsibility for guiding their own work. In other words, these are the people that have been doing that for a while. They know how to do it, but they don't think they know how to do it. They're really not confident in their work yet. They want people to constantly check their work to see if they're doing it right, even though they have very few mistakes. Their confidence level just isn't there yet. And R4 are people that are confident and willing and able to take responsibility guiding their work. So once they've been doing it for a while, they know what they're doing, they know how to do it, they have very few mistakes, if any mistakes, and their confidence says, yep, I can do it. These people do not need hardly any supervision or any additional training. They are good to go, and they can be then transformed from being micromanaged to macromanaged. Leadership styles based on our one level of readiness, level of readiness is the telling. You just basically have to tell them, you instruct them. Telling and instructing, same thing. Selling, these are the people that are level 2, R2 level readiness. Participatory style based on R3, and delegating style, R4. Leaders can increase subordinate satisfaction by performance by clarifying and clearing the paths to goals, increasing the number of kinds of rewards available for goal attainment. Okay, so clearing the path to the goal is, I might give you a goal that you have to make 20 phone calls per hour, but I give you a lot of other things to do, and you can't get to make 20 phone calls per hour because you have all this other work that you need to get done as well. So therefore, I haven't cleared the path for you. I haven't given you the opportunity to make the 20 phone calls per hour because you have all this other work to do. Um, so I need to take that work and give it to somebody else, or change your goal to 10 phone calls an hour, which would be doable for you with the work that you have. Okay. Conditional theories. Conditions for path clarification. Leader behavior must be a source of immediate or future satisfaction for followers. Okay, if I don't like it, then why should I do it? It's not a reward for me. A leader behavior must offer something unique and valuable to followers while providing coaching, guidance, support, and rewards necessary for effective work performance. It could be something as simple as a plaque, could be something as simple as your picture on the wall of Employee of the Month. Could be something as simple as the closest parking space to the door, so that when we have 110-degree heat, you don't have to be outside in the heat for very long. Or you could be the last one to work and you still have the parking spot that's closest to the office door, so that you don't have to worry about walking across a huge parking lot to get into work. It just depends on the person. The person that always gets there first doesn't really care about a parking space because they always get a good parking space because they're there before anybody else. So a parking space really wouldn't be a reward for them. Path goal theory, subordinate contingency, outcomes, environmental contingency, and leadership style. All those, subordinate, environment, and leadership style come together to then form the outcome. Either satisfaction and performance, uh, either good or bad, depends on how those other three elements combine, and then the employee does either good or bad or in the middle, depending on that. Okay, normative theory, decision style levels of employees. So over here you have leaders solve the problems or make the decisions. Over here, leaders willing to accept any decision supported by the entire group. And in the middle, you have a little bit of both. So it all depends on the situation, how urgent it is. If it's very urgent, it should be over here no matter what, because that's to be done right away. If it's something that doesn't take a long time to do, or doesn't need to be done for a long time, you can take your time and get everybody's views and opinions and vote and decide what they all want to do. And then here is something in the middle between the two extremes. Normative theory, quality, leader information, subordinate information, goal congruency, and problem structure. And then it goes on to commitment, probability, subordinate conflict, and commitment requirements. Obviously, if you have a high commitment requirement among your people, your employees, to do something, you want to be over on the right side as far as possible because you want them to have buy-in. And the biggest, easiest way to have employee buy-in is if they were part of the decision process. Um, if they're not part of the decision process, they might not have much of a commitment to it. Charismatic leadership, ethical charismatics, and unethical charismatics. Ethical provide uh, developmental opportunities for followers, open to positive feedback and negative feedback, and have moral standards that emphasize the larger interests of the organization and society. Unethical, control and manipulate, do what's best for themselves, have moral standards that their interests before everybody else. In other words, they get paid first, they get the best of everything, everybody else gets whatever remains. Transformational leaders generate awareness and acceptance of a group's purpose and mission, uh, gets employees to see beyond their own needs of self interest, charismatic leadership and or idealized influence, inspirational motivation, intellectual stimulation, and individualized consideration. And based on exchange process, followers are rewarded for good performance and punished for poor performance. Relies heavily on discipline, where threats bring performance up to standards. And that's the end of chapter 14.